for a change. In this fourth video of Revision Through MCQ series, we are going to tackle a super important topic of constitutional development. See the first question. It says that which one of the following is not correct about the Cabinet Mission Plan? याद रखिएगा, Cabinet Mission Plan was sent to India in 1946. The most important fact about the Cabinet Mission Plan was that it officially rejected the idea of Pakistan. So here, if we talk about the answer would be C, that Pakistan was never accepted by Cabinet Mission Plan, and this is incorrect statement. Again, you should know that, अब आपको ये भी पता होना चाहिए, that though Cabinet Mission Plan officially rejected the idea of Pakistan, it divided the provinces into groups based on religion. Now, this created a lot of controversy between Congress and Muslim League over the interpretation of the Cabinet Mission Plan. Congress said that Pakistan was rejected, and Muslim League and Muhammad Ali Jinnah, they said that no, Pakistan idea was still inherent in the plan because the provinces were divided into groups based on religion. All this controversy eventually led to a lot of communal violence and eventually partition of India. The next question says that which one of the following acts abolished the monopoly of the tea trade and trade with China by the East India Company? अब एक सिंपल सी बात याद रखिए that the company got three main monopolies. One was the trade in India, one was the tea trade, and one was the China trade. अब याद रखिए, the monopoly to trade in India was gone by the Charter Act of 1813. And the monopoly of the company to trade in tea and to trade with China, they were gone by the Charter Act of 1833. So, answer here that the act that removed the tea trade monopoly and the China trade monopoly of the company would be the Charter Act of 1833. The next question says that which one of the following acts abolished the trading rights of the East India Company in India? अभी बस हमने पढ़ा ठीक इस क्वेश्चन के पहले that it was the Charter Act of 1813 that ended the monopoly of the company to trade in India. The next question says that the Pitt's India Act of 1784 sought to Pitt's India Act जो 1784 था, इसका पर्पस क्या था? It's simple. It wanted to introduce some parliamentary control over the East India Company. Answer here would be A. अब ये कैसे हुआ? How the parliamentary control was imposed on the East India Company? Look, in England, how the company was being ruled? It was ruled by the Court of Directors. The Court of Directors, they were having 24 directors and they were controlling all the administration of the company. To control the Court of Directors, a board of control having 6 members, it was established by the Pitt's India Act, and the board of control was being controlled by the British Parliament. So, the Pitt's India Act of 1784, by creating the board of control to control the court of directors who were controlling the affairs of the company in England, created the parliamentary control over the affairs of the company. The next question says that the British government introduced the portfolio system for the first time in, अब याद रखिएगा, it was the Act of 1861 which introduced the portfolio or departmental system in India. अब ये ऐसे हुआ कि the Act of 1861 gave a special power to the Governor General and Viceroy to frame the rules of business, and using that, Canning introduced the portfolio or departmental system for the first time in India. System क्या था? In this system, different executive members in the Council of Viceroy and Governor General, they were assigned different departments to look for. So answer here would be 1861. The next question says that separate electorates for Muslims were introduced for the first time in. अब याद रखिएगा, the most important provision of the Government of India Act 1909 was that it introduced the separate electorate for the Muslims. The British introduced this communal politics to create a divide in Indian national movement. क्या system था? In the separate electorate, the Muslims were segregated at separate constituencies from where only Muslims could get elected and from where only Muslims could vote. This was called the separate electorate. For the first time, it was introduced in the Government of India Act 1909. Next question says that the Government of India Act 1919 clearly defined. अब याद रखिएगा, for the first time, the central and the provincial list, they were demarcated in the Government of India Act 1919. So the answer here would be that it clearly defined the jurisdiction of the central and provincial governments. B would be the answer. Additional information is that in the Government of India Act 1935, for the first time, apart from central and provincial list, the concurrent list was also introduced. Then the next question says that the Swaraj Party decided to take part in the reform scheme under the Government of India Act 1919 because, अब याद रखिएगा, the Swarajists, they were not happy with the Gandhian politics. So after the withdrawal of non-cooperation movement, they wanted to participate in the assemblies, to enter the assemblies and to use the assemblies to expose the problems with the British policies. So the Swarajists, why they entered, why they took part in this reform process of the Government of India Act 1919, because they wanted to expose the hollowness of the reforms provided by the Act, by the British. B would be the answer. Then next question says that what proposal was made in August of 1940. अब एक सिंपल सी बात समझिए, the Second World War started in 1939. And now British were under pressure to give more political reforms for the Indians. So they came up with August offer in 1940. What they proposed? Not independence, but they proposed dominion status. When they proposed dominion status, Congress rejected it. Because, अब याद रखिए, in 1929, in the famous Lahore session of Congress, Congress had already demanded Purna Swaraj or complete independence. The next question says that the cabinet delegation consisted of, अभी हमने पढ़ा था, cabinet delegation came in 1946. Who were the three members? The three members were Patrick Lawrence, Stafford Cripps and A.V. Alexander. So answer here would be A. याद रखना आसान है, Patrick Lawrence, L is there, Stafford Cripps, C is there, A.V. Alexander, A is there. So याद रखिए LCA. LCA तेजस बहुत न्यूज में है, नाम याद रखना आसान हो जाएगा आपके लिए. Then next question says that the Supreme Court at Calcutta was established by, अब याद रखिएगा, it was the Regulating Act of 1773 that established a Supreme Court in Calcutta. Additional information that the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court was Elijah Impey. Elijah Impey was the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court that was established in Calcutta as per the Regulating Act of 1773. Next question said that the Simon Commission was boycotted by Congress because Simon Commission was an all-white commission. It was appointed in 1927. It came to India in 1928. An all-white commission. So no Indian was included into this. This was clearly a violation of the right of self-determination for the Indians to decide about their constitution. So the answer would be that it definitely negated the claim of the Indian people to determine their own constitution. C would be the answer. Next question says that which one of the following provisions was not made in the Charter Act of 1813. अब एक सिंपल सी बात याद रखिए, in Charter Act of 1813 it was never said that an Indian would be appointed as the law member. It is incorrect statement. We have to figure out the incorrect statement. D would be the answer. Additional information that law member was not Indian, he was still British. The law member was at this stage Macaulay. अब एक और भी बात याद रखिए that the first Indian who was ever included into the Executive Council of the Governor General was Satyendra Prasanna Sinha. What? Satyendra Prasanna Sinha, S.P. Sinha, who was included into the Executive Council after the reform of 1909. Then next question says that which of the following is incorrect. We have to figure out incorrect statement. A says that Regulating Act came in times of Cornwallis. This is incorrect and we have to figure out the incorrect statement. A would be the answer. अब ये गलत क्यों है? क्योंकि Regulating Act आया था 1773 में. And what was the time of Cornwallis? The time of Cornwallis was 1786 to 93 as the Governor General in India. So A would be the answer. Then one more question, it says that which one of the following is not a feature of the Government of India Act 1935? Answer would be diarchy at the center as well as provinces. This is incorrect. A would be the answer. We have to figure out the incorrect statement. अब ये गलत क्यों है ये भी समझिए. Diarchy was introduced at the provincial level in the Government of India Act 1919. And diarchy was removed from provincial government in 1935 and was introduced at the central level. So, in 1935 Government of India Act, diarchy was removed from the provinces and it was rather introduced into the central level. So, first statement is wrong and A would be the answer because we have to figure out the incorrect statement. Very soon, I would be there with the next session of Revision Through MCQ series.